Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of Colin Harris, where, in celebration of Darwin Day, I will be exploring the current evidence for evolution. It is no doubt evolution exists, yet some people don't accept it as fact. Perhaps it is too hard for them to grasp, or they suffer of cognitive dissonance, or simply haven't seen the evidence. That is why I'm presenting this video, to show those who do not accept it, and to show them the truth. But first, I'll need to explain what evolution is. If you want to skip over this, here's a timestamp. Evolution, in principle, doesn't really exist. It is quite plainly our way of describing something that occurs within living things. This, in question, being very slight modifications in genes in offspring, and when this occurs over multiple generations, creates noticeable changes. And this happens because resources on our planet are limited. So life competes through evolution to be the best one to fit their niche. For example, you may notice that hyenas and wolves pretty much fill the same role in their environment as a pack hunter. Yet they're different. This is because a wolf is the best fit pack hunter for North America's ecosystem, while the hyena is the best fit for its African ecosystem. But it wasn't always that way. There used to be pack hunting birds, ungulates, lizards, although evolution weeded out the ones who weren't as efficient as others. In North America, the wolf outcompeted its competitors. That's why we have the wolf. This is a process of natural selection, and I will likely devote a video to this in the future. It just helps people understand evolution. The evidence. In this video, we will be exploring the evidence being vestigial structures, homologous structures, embryonic similarities, fossils, DNA similarities, and selective breeding. Now we move on to the real business, starting off with vestigial structures. Vestigial structures are structures that we used to need, but we have changed and evolved and no longer need them. Chances are you've heard of your wisdom teeth. If you haven't, you most likely know someone who's had their wisdom teeth removed. The reason why we don't need them is because we don't have a purpose for them, but we used to. So why do we have them? Evolution is the answer. Adults have 3 sets of molars, the wisdom teeth being the third set. It is speculated by scientists that we have them because our ancestors, who ate tough food, needed them to eat the tough food that we no longer eat. Fossil shows that we also had larger jaws to fit these teeth in as well. We also have an appendix. Although studies are being done that are saying it still has a purpose, it is not completely official, and for the context of this video, I'll be referring to its possible use for our ancestors. Goes back to eating tough food. Many herbivores have a very large appendix for fermenting and digesting tough plant matter. It is possible we used the appendix for the same purpose in the past. But we aren't the only ones with vestigial structures. Ever heard of whales? If the answer is no, get out from underneath that rock, Samuel. Well, whales used to be landlubbers, but they evolved to live in the ocean instead. Don't believe me? Well, here is a picture of whale hair. I'll be giving examples for whales in other parts of this video too. Whales don't need hair, yet they still have it. Dolphins have just barely evolved enough so that the adults don't have any hair, just further proving this theory. But why do they? Evolution. Evolution hasn't been occurring for long enough to completely eliminate hair. This is one of the many examples of vestigial structures. Next up on our list, we have homologous structures. Homologous structures are not only good for proving evolution, but also for helping us understand it. Regardless, homologous structures were wonderfully demonstrated in the book Your Inner Fish by Shubin. Just to recap, homologous structures are things that are the same in organisms, suggesting a common ancestor. Homologous structures, in my opinion, are one of the more fascinating parts of evolution. Every tetrapod alive has the arm structure of 1 bone, 2 bones, lots of blobs, and then some digits. You can see in this picture the similarities between seemingly different animals. This and many other examples help support evolution. Next up, we have similarities in embryos. Embryology is the study of embryos. There isn't much to say on this topic that wouldn't make the video 30 minutes long. Your Inner Fish, again, explains this topic very well, but obviously more in depth. I think it would be easier to analyze this picture of embryos. You can see that even though these animals are different, they all have the muscles arranged in bundles, a tail, a hard protective covering over the brain, arm buds, and just similar shapes overall. This again shows a common ancestor and evolution. Next up we have fossils. Fossils are possibly the best evidence for evolution. Without fossils, we wouldn't be able to literally watch our evolution. Here's a video by well-known YouTuber Trey the Explainer showing the transitionary fossils of many species. Link will be in the description. Although he titled the video "Almost Every Single Transitionary Fossil Discovered," technically all species are transitionary. It's just that certain fossils more than others depict a transition from one kind of animal to another. Using fossils, we can visually see the transitionary species within our past, such as Pakicetus, a literal land whale, then Ambulocetus, Cuchicetus, Rhodocetus, Rudon, Basilosaurus, all the way up to our modern whales, such as the humpback whale. Next up, we have DNA similarities. Now, I personally am not that familiar with this topic, but I'll try my best to explain. Scientists can examine the DNA of two species and match them up, and the results are stunning. We share almost 50 to 60% of our DNA with bananas, so I guess you could say we're 50 to 60% cannibals. Chimpanzees are our closest relatives. We split from them a few million years ago, yet we still share 98% or more of our DNA with them. I know this seems off topic, but next time you see a stranger, know that you share 99.9% or more of your DNA with them. Somewhere along up your family tree, you might be related. Next up, we have selective breeding. Still don't think evolution is real? We'll just know that you wouldn't have that Chihuahua or that Pug or Golden Retriever or Husky or Great Dane or practically any dog that could be sitting next to you without evolution. Humans have selectively bred animals that fall under our wants, thus ignoring evolution's natural selection and creating artificial selection, speeds up the evolutionary process and gives rise to dogs like the poodle. And it doesn't just happen with dogs either, it occurs with other domesticated animals like horses, cows, pigs, chickens, and many other animals like them. Selective breeding can be witnessed within a human lifetime, with dogs like the Bull Terrier or German Shepherd being changed dramatically through forced evolution. I've left a link to an article down below. In conclusion, the evidence for evolution is pretty astounding. It is pretty ridiculous also to say evolution doesn't exist. If you still disagree, start a discussion, a civil one please. I think evolution is fascinating and will continue to do videos on this channel about it. And with that, I've been Colin Harris. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And oh yeah, happy Darwin Day.